Football then and now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us. A warm welcome. This is episode 45 of Football Then and Now, a nostalgic look at football and also a show about current goings on in the beautiful game. And waiting in the wings is a returning guest. He was with me last week as we previewed Villa's first leg victory against Club Bruges. It's Mr. Brady Barlow, Aston Villa fan, back on the show. How are we, Brady?
Oh, bad, Stevie lad, you?
All good, mate. Before I get into our topics that we've spoken about off camera, I just want to say a happy birthday, a happy 66th birthday to the man, the legend, Welsh football legend, of course, 90 plus caps for Wales between 1982 and 1998, and Everton legend, Mr. Neville Southall, who was brought up like 5 miles down the road from us up here. And happy birthday to Neville. I thought, nostalgic, of course, Brady, and what a career. And he was fantastic. And, never got to a big tournament with Wales, which was a shame.
No.
I know they came close a couple of times, but just always felt like he needed a big tournament in international football.
You could say the same with Giggs as well, though, couldn't you?
Yeah. A lot
Him and Giggs. There was a few for Wales that should have got a big tournament underneath them, but one thing or another. But the lads are doing proud at the moment, and a lot of it stemmed from what the old guard did for it. I mean, Southall, Giggs, speed.
When Neville Southall was signed early on, for Everton in their Kendall's tenure at the beginning, they were building that team for a few years, and he stuck with him, and he was with us for a long time. Don't forget. And people say about Heysel and the ban, we would have gone into the European Cup that year. It was unfortunate what happened. I don't bring that up and start kicking off. Like some of our fan base are disgusting when they talk about Heysel. We missed out because of that. I've never looked at that. That was a travesty what happened that day. No. We were due to go into the European Cup. It didn't turn out like that. And then obviously the clubs were banned then for 5 years, weren't they? But we won a Cup Winners' Cup, of course, and we won the league a couple of times, won the FA Cup in that spell when Kendall was first in charge, So he won a lot of stuff, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, back when you were good.
You keep saying the good times could be coming back for us with the new regime.
They will.
I hope so. Yeah, 66 years old today, Neville Southall. Just wanted to do a little nostalgic bit before we get into current news. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been on, obviously. He's been interviewed by Gary Neville. He was interviewed by Dan Rowan on BBC Sport as well. So he's done two separate interviews. What were your takeaways? Obviously, we look at it totally different. We're not United fans. I know a lot of United fans are angry about what he's come out with, but come on. The Glazers are sunning it up in Florida, and at least he's had the balls to go and do some media stuff. And tensions are high, but I'll give Jim Ratcliffe that. He had the bollocks to go, and be interviewed. And it's not an easy time. It's not an easy time, though.
No, the Glazers, they'll hide away as much as they can. They'd rather put their money into Tampa Bay Buccaneers than they would United. Radcliffe and the rest have come in to what they say, save the club. And from what I've seen from the outside and from what I've seen from pundits and from other podcasts, it's no different. If anything, it's worse. And with Radcliffe saying that United would be bankrupt by Christmas, well, they're paying how many millions or billions a year back to the debt just to stay out of the interest of the debt. And the things that are going on at the club, it just doesn't make sense to me. Why would you stop paying to a charity for ex-players for 40 grand and take cafeteria food away from your staff that are keeping the club running? Everybody says that it's the board that runs the club. It's not. We all know it's not. It's the ground staff, it's the security, it's the tea lady. They're the ones that run the club. They're the ones that make sure the club is always going. And these other ones, they're just in it for the profit. And I think he had to come out and do that interview because of everything that was being leaked. Because I was watching a podcast the other day, and they were saying that an email had gone round saying they don't want any leaks of anything that's going on at the club. But then somebody leaked about the email saying that they don't want any leaks. If you don't want any leaks, what are you hiding? And everybody said, "Oh, well, they're throwing 100 million into this new stadium." They're not. The government are paying for some of it. The government are paying, I think it's something like 25-30% of it because of the land it's on, because the government own part of that land. It's just cloak and daggers.
I do agree with him on the signings and how much was thrown before he came there.
Yeah.
They spent ridiculous money, haven't they? You know, when you look at what they were signing Anthony for, it didn't work out. Sancho, which they're still paying half of Sancho's wages at Chelsea. There's a lot going on.
Summer, they've still got to make a payment for Sancho.
17 million.
They've got to make a payment for Anthony. 2 players who aren't even at the club anymore. They've got to pay for Casemiro still. And they've still got to pay for Højlund. Well, Højlund, yeah, he's in his 2nd year. You can understand that there's still a payment there. But Casemiro, I think, is on his 3rd or 4th year there now. Sancho's 3 or 4 years. He's about the same.
2021 Sancho.
And they're still paying them off now. But I think they've got too many players there that are on far too much money. Because everybody's saying, well, if Rashford goes to Villa in the summer, Villa aren't going to want him because of the wage. Well, apparently he's already renegotiated. He's already had discussions with the Villa higher-ups that he would take a pay cut to come to us. So are United just throwing money at these players to get them in or to get them to stay? They're not even putting the amount on the table, and United are saying, we'll give you this. Well, if Rashford was on 350 million, which he wasn't, he was on 300, which is still a ridiculous amount.
It's extortionate. You know, no disrespect to the lad, but that's your top end. That's your top end players, elite players' salary. It is. And then just to go off on a tangent, you know, Haaland's now on 500k a week, isn't he, with his new contract?
Yeah.
So it's not even higher. But it's just a comedy of errors, Brady, and you can understand why the United fan base is so annoyed and pissed off. You can, because it's just everything. But going back to your earlier point, cutting staff meals, it's a small cost in comparison to everything else, isn't it? It's ridiculous. You don't need to cut that.
It all started before Christmas, didn't it? The Christmas bonus, where all the staff will get £100, and he cut it down to £40 per person.
It's not even that much, is it, in the grand scheme of things? I know.
Per person, it's what for the amount of staff they've got, it's probably what, maybe 4, 5, 6 grand tops. And now you're cutting food away and then boasting that you're going to build a new stadium that's going to cost 100 to 120 odd million. Oh, sorry, that's a bit of a kick in the face to their staff. And I mean, you look at, I'm going to pick you guys now because of the hard times you lot have been through in the past few years. The money hasn't been there, but you haven't made redundancies.
No,
you lot were on the point of bankruptcy and liquidation, this, that, and the other.
Club legends weren't allowed. Didn't go to the stadium, didn't they? But I mean, that wasn't sackings per se, was it?
Yeah, but you haven't made redundancies and things. You haven't sacrificed the people that have kept you going, have kept the morale in there, just for a couple of quid. And it just doesn't make sense. And some of the United fans that I work with and that I've spoken to, they don't get it. they're supposed to be, according to Ratcliffe, and according to some of the stuff that I've seen online, United is still one of the highest grossing teams in the world from the money that they're making in ticket sales, in franchise, in merchandise, in on the stock exchange. But yet they're absolutely skint and they don't know why. Everybody knows why. The money they're paying back on this debt that the Glazers made themselves is ridiculous. And for Ratcliffe, we don't know why, blaming this, blaming that. Like, they pulled Dan Ashworth out of Newcastle, paid, what was it, 17 to 20 million to get him out of there, for him to be in for what, 6 months and then sack him and have to pay him a severance pay of a ridiculous amount. And saying, well, it was his fault for previous signings. How? How is it his fault for previous signings when he's been there for 6 months? And all the signings you're blaming him for are 2-3 years before he even came in. But yet you're paying money to get him out of Newcastle and then paying money to get rid of him from yourselves.
It's just you feel for the United fan base, but they were so accustomed to winning everything as well. That's still in their psyche as a fan base. I go back to that. They were so. You look at the number of years. So I understand frustrations, but clubs go through it. But this is. It's the amount of things. It's the amount of things all at once that have gone wrong financially. It's a comedy of errors. It's a comedy of errors, and that's that.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool went through the same. They hadn't won anything for years. Their fans lived in the past, but they've turned the club round with the right owners and the right management, and have started winning things again. But it seems like ever since Fergie left United, it's just plummeted. And Fergie even said himself, I'm leaving the club because it's going to take 5 or 6 years to rebuild that squad. But did he also know that they were running out of money because of the debt? And it's
Amorim has got to stay there. I do agree with Ratcliffe on that. He has to stay.
Yeah, he has to stay. They literally can't afford to get rid of him, and none of this is his fault.
I understand the results haven't been there. Looking at it from both sides of the coin, you've got to give that bloke time, and you've got to let that. But I don't know how much money he's going to have to build a team. He's got a few of the young ones, hasn't he? I will say that.
But they're going to have to sell to buy. For the next few years, they're going to have to be a sell to buy team. They can't just go out like they used to and throw money. Oh, we'll have John Smith for 60 million. There you go. Have it. Oh, actually, no, we want 80 million. All right, and there you go. They can't do that anymore. So they to have their scouting spot on. Because, and but just didn't fit into the Premiership for some reason. Because you see a lot of players, they've come from the Dutch league, they've come from the Belgian league, they come from France.
How many players that came from Holland? Take a few out of this because there's ones that have done well. At Liverpool, I'm not just saying it's not everybody. We did the same thing. We went to Ajax. We got Davy Klaassen. A lot of them from Ajax, from that team, from the fantastic Champions League run they had that year when they got to the semi. None of them very few of them have cut the mustard, haven't they? That's not me being harsh or anything like that. It goes to show how hard the Premier League is week in, week out. The games, the teams, the depth. A lot of the Ajax players that expected. I think the Ligt needs a bit more time. I will say that. His confidence was shot, wasn't it? Coming back, from being at Juve and what have you. But I don't know, Brady. Just like to sum it up, it's not gonna change overnight, is it? Like you say, it's just years and years of it ticking away. and it's snowballed really. It's just added and added as they've gone along, and God knows.
I don't get why the Glazers, when these bids came up from Radcliffe and from the Saudi League, but the Saudi League, well, the people from Saudi wanted to buy the club outright. They wanted to buy the club, pay off all the debt themselves, build a new stadium, everything. But the Glazers still turned around and chose Ratcliffe, who would come in, buy however many shares he wanted, pump a load of money in, and still be in the shit that they're in now. And it's like it just makes you think. So you want to sell part of your shares and everything of the club to a person that's not run or been associated with football before, is all cycling, and think you're going to turn the club around. But you won't sell to a foundation from Saudi who are going to come in, wipe this slate completely clean, build a new stadium off their own backs, and get United back to where they need to be, or where they should be.
Well, just want to move us on.
Yeah.
Let's see how they get on against Sociedad tomorrow. Obviously, it's 1-1, isn't it? Going to Old Trafford, of course.
That is a must-win game for them.
They're in a bit of a Spurs scenario. I know they're going to want to be safe, which they should be safe because the bottom three are atrocious. They're just not getting the points, are they? So they're going to be like Spurs in a sense, that they're going to be putting all their eggs into that Europa League, aren't they? Because, again, it's an avenue into the Champions League. As John was saying, for Spurs, he's forgotten about the domestic, and he's more so thinking like Spurs need to win that Europa. But you've got fantastic teams in there, haven't you? As well, you know, Roma are in there. There's many others, Lazio. Yeah. So it's going to be tricky. But yeah, I just think, you know, they're going to need Europa League win, I think, aren't they? And that's not going to be easy. Yeah. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy by any stretch. But I just want to move us on to this evening's games. Of course, we'll talk about your second leg in a moment. I'm just going to fire up our Champions League portion of the week.
Love a loophole.
Well, we're preventing a copyright strike. It's a cover. I tell you. I'm just going to say one thing. I wonder how much you'll get on a 6-0 win for PSV. Sorry, no, they're going to have to win 7-0. 7-0. I wonder what the odds are, and I guarantee someone in the world will put a bet on, as outlandish as that is. But
somebody would.
But bar the Arsenal fans and the PSV fans, I don't know who's going to be watching that tonight after the trouncing they got last week. So I kind of think we can let that one go by, can't we? 1-1 Lille and Dortmund, Brady. How do you see that one going?
Lille, from what I've seen, I haven't seen a lot of them this season domestically. To obviously go by the home games. For Champions League, they've played quite well at home. They're quite a tough team. Even though they're classed as one of the smaller teams still in it, bar PSV and maybe Club Brugge, but they've got a fight in them. And I could see them doing Dortmund at their place. I could see that one being maybe 1-0 to Lille or 2-1 to Lille.
How many more years is Jonathan David not going to get picked up as well? What a player.
He's free in the summer.
What a player. I
don't know what they've done there, but he's going to be gone for free in the summer.
He's such a good player. He'd be brilliant. I think he'd be fantastic in the Premier League. And like you say,
well, there is talk of Arsenal and United looking at him. I think at the moment he'd fit more into the Arsenal team because of the way they play. And he's got no other number 9 to fight against him. But you'd need somebody to fight against him because he's that good. I mean, yeah, he's playing in the French league. Could he make it in the Premiership? I think he could. I really think he could, and I hope somebody does snap him up. I think one of the big boys should snap him up in the summer, whether that be in the Premiership or PSG. Well, not PSG because their front three is ridiculous anyway. Or maybe the German league. I just think
Dortmund are 10th in the Bundesliga. They're 10th, right?
Yeah.
And again, they were finalists last year. They got all the way to the final. You always tend to have a surprise. You know, you'll get a surprise. Not to say they're going to get to the final again, but again, they're going to be putting all their eggs into this because they're not. They're just not. They're nowhere near. They're nowhere near. Like I think to get into Europe, I think they're 6 points. They're 6 points off fifth. Freiburg are on 41. So they're gonna be surely putting all their eggs into one basket tonight. What do you think, or am I wrong to say that?
I think they'll throw everything at it tonight. I think Dortmund will go for it tonight. I think the league is gone for them, personally, because their league form is atrocious. So I think they'll throw everything at it tonight, which I think will give Lille the upper hand on it.
Absolutely. Can I press you for a score prediction? We did a few predictions last week, didn't we, for the Premier League? So a score off you, please, Brady.
2-1 Lille.
They're right. He's going with the French. They're gonna go through. I'm gonna go with Dortmund on this one, and I'm gonna go for a 2. I'm gonna go for a 2-1. I'm going to go for a 2-1, which would then obviously be 3-2 on aggregate to Dortmund going through. And on to your villains, of course, Aston Villa 3-1 up from the first leg. We did talk about it, obviously, briefly last week, didn't we, about the first leg and how well it went in the end.
Yeah.
You know, fantastic, the 2-goal advantage. We kind of said, if you get the first goal, I think that's it. I think one more goal. But are you on your guard? Because you said, obviously, you played them earlier on in the group stage. What's your thoughts? You know, it's a night of now for the second leg.
I think we're just going to go for it. I think it'll be 2-0 Villa in the end. I think we're just going to be too strong for them at our place. Especially being able to get into the quarterfinals, playing in front of the Villa fans. I think it's just going to be too... It's going to be too strong for them. I think, Club Brugge are a good side, but I think it's just going to be too much for them tonight.
What we're saying on a score and some goal scorers off you. I'll press you for some goal scorers on this one for the Villa.
2-0, Ollie Watkins and Rashford.
Yeah, Rashford to score. Asensio?
No, I think he might set up Rashford this time instead of Rashford setting him up all the time.
Yeah, they're trading the roles this evening for that one, definitely. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1 to you boys. And then obviously it's PSG. If that's the case, I know you're not overlooking Bruges by any stretch because we know what Champions League football's like, but it's going to be the big tie after last night all the way to penalties. So, you got a huge tie, with going through on this
and
one.
And Asensio gets to play in it. Asensio will be able to play in it because there's no rule about loan players playing against their parent clubs.
It's perfect for you guys, isn't it? Absolutely. You to have the strongest possible lineup going into that. And it's going to be amazing. Again, for everybody watching and listening, if you listen to it later in audio form, we are not looking past Bruges. Brady will tell you this. He did say last week, but I think on paper, I'm with you. I think I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1. You're 2-0. And through to the next round. And then probably, arguably, the tie of the evening, Brady. I think I'm right in saying that, aren't I? Still perfectly poised. Just obviously a 1-goal advantage for Real Madrid. Julian Alvarez's goal for Atletico, superb. Probably the goal of the ties last week, I would say. Absolutely brilliant. What a player. What a player. We said, like, when City lost him, I love that lad. I think he's a fantastic player. But this is the tie tonight, isn't it? I know you're going to be watching Villa, but I'm sure you'll have an eye on this as well, won't you?
Yeah. I think Atletico are very good at home. Real Madrid, they always find something in the Champions League. Always. I think it'll be a draw. I think they'll cancel each other out. I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. 1-1 draw. I know how strong Madrid are. I quite fancy Atletico, and looking at how tight it's been in La Liga this season, the three sides, Barca, Atletico Madrid, still all going for the league as well. I'm gonna go Atletico. I'm gonna go Atletico on this one. I don't want to say too many goals here, but I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna go 3-2 Atletico on the night. I'm gonna go with 3-2. I know that's a lot of goals, and it was tight the first game, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Atletico, Brady. I think Madrid are going out, and they've been amazing. They've been amazing over the last decade, winning the tournament. Crazy, just how many times they've won it now. I think it's 15 times, isn't it? If memory serves, it's crazy amount, and they are the thoroughbreds of the tournament. There's no question. But I'm gonna go with Atletico. Some people may disagree. I just think they've got strength. Simeone's rebuilt the team again, hasn't he? He's been there for a number of years. He's the highest paid manager in world football as well. I saw a table. I was quite shocked, actually. But he's stuck with them, hasn't he? He was touted with other jobs, and he stayed put. He stayed put for many, many years. Again, I just want to say as well, the kickoffs tonight. This is the African time zone on this graphic. So it's 5:45 for Lille and Dortmund, and the other three games: Aston Villa, Club Brugge, 8:00, Arsenal, PSV, 8:00 as well, and Atletico and Real Madrid, 8:00. And if I could press you for a winner of the tournament just before we go, I'm saying now, from this point now, it could change, couldn't it, by the next round? You could be saying someone totally different. Who do you think is going to go all the way and take the title, take that lucrative championship? You've got to really, haven't you?
I'd love it, but I think PSG are coming into form. I mean, they looked a bit shaky against Liverpool last night, but I think they could make it. They should make it to the final. Or from the other side, Bayern Munich.
And do you know what, Brady? Could be argued in the group stage, your victory against Bayern was probably one of the biggest victories in the whole group stage. I would say that in the league format, should I say? I keep scoring at the group stage. You've done it before. And PSG do look strong. I've got to be honest. And it's the running off the ball now that they're doing. They're doing more kilometers, aren't they, per head and stuff like that. The workmen like they're doing a lot off the ball as well. But stranger things have happened, Brady. I think you could do it on your day. You've got the squad, haven't you? And he added so well in January that why not? Why not? The lads in work were saying they could see Villa going far. They were literally saying that today. So be interesting.
Anything can happen in this one.
Barcelona are looking strong as well.
Yeah.
They're not dark horses. That'd be the wrong term to use, but I've been very impressed with them. They've scored a lot of goals in games throughout that. So everyone's a contender, aren't they? You can't overlook anyone. Lille and Dortmund. Stranger things have happened. Things have happened in that tournament. But we look forward to this evening. And I just want to plug the Sports Social Podcast Network before we go. I'd be remiss to forget about them. It's Europe's largest sports podcast network. Again, we say this every week with this graphic. It's probably well over 500 partners now. And if you've got a sports-based podcast, any sport, and you want to be looked after, have your content put up in audio form, it's of no cost to you as well. Because I did it for years with the wrestling show. You pay your listing fees, when you do it on your own. They alleviate all that. You put the ads into your show, intervals and stuff like that, and then that covers it, so you don't pay to list. I was paying to list Stu's Wrestling Podcast for a long time. So yeah, the Sports Social Podcast Network. Please get in touch with him. You can get in touch with me and Chris. You can even get in touch with Brady. We can put you over to them because they're fantastic at what they do, and they're getting bigger and bigger. And they've got big celebrity people within sport. They've got big podcasts. Under the Cosh, Under the Cosh has been going for years now. Huge podcast. Just amazing what they do, and we're very thankful for the support for Football Then and Now. And go and check those guys out. Brady, before I go as well, just where the viewers and listeners can find you, and thank you for coming on again on the show. We appreciate you, mate.
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Brady Barlow. You'll find me. You'll find me through Stewie and Chris. Got to bring anything up with me, I can pass it on to the lads. If I'm not on, they can discuss it. But cheers for having me, Stu.
No problem,
hopefully
mate. No
next
problem.
time we'll be discussing the quarters.
Yes. All the best tonight. I know. I just think you're gonna do it, and I think that once that first goal goes in, I know for a fact. You guys have been great this season. It's been amazing, and Villa Park will be rocking tonight as it has been all season. And yeah, just all the best to all the participants. I think PSV have had it personally, but as I said, someone may have put a 7-0 bet on. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise in the slightest. And we'll be back for episode 46 of Football Then and Now next week. We will see you very, very soon. And cheers, Brady. Thank you so much for coming on again, mate. Appreciate you.
No worries, buddy.
Take care, everybody. Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.